we don't really tend to listen as women. We like to hear what we want. We like to put our own interpretations on things instead of asking for clarification. I think the idea of love is so oversold to women that we'll fill in the blanks with what we want instead of what that man actually intends. And I think the moment that as women we start to not only listen to what that man is actually saying, like if he's saying I don't want children and is still shooting up the club, like that's a disconnect we should be paying attention to.
So I think women need to understand this about a lot of men is the same way that y'all are having all these thoughts in your mind when he's coming inside of you about being a family and getting married and all this planning you're doing in your head. For a lot of men, we are also having a lot of plans in our mind at that time when we are doing that. Okay, I got to run over to CVS and get a Plan B pill. It's going to cost me about $50. Is like we do think about that. Just to it happens.
Do men not know that when you take? Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to know, like, are women missing a red flag somewhere? Like, when we are thinking, not me specifically, but in general, when women are thinking, oh, this guy loves me, he cares about me, I'm gonna let him hit wrong. Are we missing anything, or are we just being naive to think that it's gonna be something long term?
Missing a ring.
We're like, oh my God, we're planning weddings, we're doing this in our head, and y'all are like, oh, I need to get a Plan B pill and crush it up and throw in her orange juice for the morning.
I didn't say that part. I was going to try and do it the righteous way and just tell you to take it. But.
Not that part.
So let us know like where we're messing up, because we don't see through a man's lenses. And a lot of times we just don't know. And, if you could help us get some insight, I'm just curious. What are we missing?
That's why understanding, like, everybody is, we're individually unique. So understanding what character traits can kind of lead to some of these things or just what good character in a man looks like, because a lot of times I wasn't lying when I said a lot of us will do this just so that we can and get the Plan B pill next, but some of us also do it so that we can trap you. I mean, if a guy meets a girl and he is like all about her and he's not sure how she's feeling about him, an easy way to take care of that is to trap her.
So it's safe to say that men trap too?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. My husband trapped me. It worked.
Well, at least he made you his wife, and it wasn't a baby mama like Future. He's out here creating baby mamas left and right.
But at some point, those women have to understand that it's more to it than that. That they have to understand that he didn't wipe the other 4 or however many he has. What makes you think you're?
Women always think they're an exception. They always like, oh, it's gonna be me. I got that I throw my pussy in the air.
It would be interesting to see like the type of game he talks to get these women to believe. Like he needs to do a class. Like, this is what you say.
Okay, is Future a narcissist?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know anything about Future.
He got like how many kids, y'all?
He can't diagnose that man on here.
No more than Nick Cannon. But I do want to say, because somebody said something in the chat that is interesting that I also very much so agree with. We don't really tend to listen as women. We like to hear what we want. We like to put our own interpretations on things instead of asking for clarification. I think the idea of love is so oversold to women that we'll fill in the blanks with what we want instead of what that man actually intends. And I think the moment that as women we start to not only listen to what that man is actually saying, like if he's saying I don't want children and is still shooting up the club, like that's a disconnect we should be paying attention to. If his actions and his words are not aligning, that's a disconnection we should absolutely be paying attention to. I think women are taught that to give too much grace, to give too much understanding, and to give excuses before explanations are offered. And that becomes like that demise that allows these men to run that game, that allows these men to trap women, that allows these girls to fall victim to, low self-esteem. I think that's really the biggest part of women valuing their bodies the way they are currently versus the way they should be, is that ability to really listen, right? Don't fill in the blanks, don't add your own context to it, don't spin it in a way that makes you feel good. Like if it feels terrible, like that's okay. It's okay for something to not feel good, but to still acknowledge that it's true, I think would be really important.
I like that. You know what? I also think, do you think that women are having sex? I mean, maybe they do understand, like they put those things together, but maybe because they're competing for the same men, they feel like that's the way to get into that guy. Like maybe I'm having sex with this guy because it's competition out there. I know we're competing. And if I don't give it to him, she'll give it to him.
Let me tell you, I actually have an example for that. So when I was in high school and I dated my high school sweetheart, we were both virgins. And we were both like, yeah, we're going to get married and lose it together and everything. And you know what? I'm going to keep it cute. Some fast girl. Yeah, had experience. So she got in his ear telling him what she was going to offer him. And that's who he gave his virginity to. And I was like, no, we were supposed to do it together. And, this whore, I'm going to say it, it stings a little bit when I talk about it from high school. I'm just saying that's supposed to, we were supposed to.
And it's so crazy. I see what she's saying, because it does seem when you're in a high school setting that the whores are winning.
Yeah, it does seem
they get the guy, because the women, they don't understand that your virginity is so precious that you are actually the one who's winning. You give up your power when you have sex with a guy. So all they see is the girl who has sex gets the guy.
Yeah, so I felt like at that moment that she won. She won the guy. It was like once she put that thing on him, he ain't turned back. Brittany, who? Like what? Like what? He didn't look my way. Not ever again.
And during those years, they are winning. Like they get the men, like, because they put it out. So it's in the long run where they end up losing.
They lose, absolutely.
Well, at that age, you don't have that foresight to think ahead. You don't. At that age, it's the here and now. You don't have that foresight to think ahead, to know what the consequences of that is going to look like.
But I think a lot of mistakes is, I think a lot of people take high school mentality and apply it to the real world.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Nelson? That a lot of men and women take high school mentality and bring it to the real world. Like we're all just big grown adults, but we have childlike minds. Mm-hmm. Even when you're driving, people are like, "Don't skip me." Like it's like what? Like like people in the real world still. You ever be driving and somebody don't want to let you over, and there's just enough room for you, but they're
just being petty for no reason.
It's high school mentality, like somebody skip you in the lunch line type of thing. So I'm like, honestly, all adults, we're still just like in this high school mentality.
That's true. I mean, even look at in politics, like we're subgrouping in politics to where only certain legislators hang with these ones. Like everything that we learned in high school about how to interact with each other, about what it means to be popular, about what it means to be successful. We carry those things into our adulthood, and that's
and our work, our job. Like everybody clicks up at the job, everybody gossiping. You still got the girls that gossiping, being messy, and I don't like so and so. It's still the same thing.
The only mindset
don't practice is like emotional maturity. And like everybody wants to mature in all these different levels except for like emotional. So like you could literally you could be 30 years old but still operate like a 17-year-old because your emotions are not there. You're still responding as you were when you were in high school. So if you don't take the time to mature on that level, then you will forever. I've seen 60 people in their damn 60s still act like children. It's like, why are you acting like that? And you expect them to be wiser because they're older, but they still act like a damn child. So I think it's emotional maturity. And
well, where are they gonna learn that? Because even if they're in high school and they're now 60 years old and doing the same things, if they were never taught at any point in time, then you can't really expect them to know anything different.
You have to read books. I mean, if you're not taught, then you have to do the learning yourself. I mean, you could let me know.
But not if you don't know it's something that you need to change. Typically, when change occurs is because it's something that happens that interrupts like a certain pattern of behavior that make you reflect and say, okay, I need to know more about this. A lot of times, if you're moving through life without anybody confronting you or a situation that occurs that forces you to learn, it's easy to move through life without correcting any of your own behavior. And not just that, pointing to other people saying that they need to correct theirs without seeing the flaws that you need to correct.